Hello, my friend. How are you doing? Manu here from yogabizmentor.com. Today, I want to share this video. It's a little bit more intimate than other videos that I share in this platform. What I want to talk about, it's about my own professional and business journey. And the reason I'm doing this video today, it's not because I am a narcissistic and I want to let you know about my life. Maybe I am, I don't know. Now, jokes aside, the reason I want to share this video with you is because first, I know it's going to give you a lot of inspiration and motivation in your own journey as a yoga wellness practitioner, as an aspiring retreat leader. I know this video is gonna give you that motivation that you need. At the same time, I also want to let you know a little bit more about myself. Maybe you have been watching some of my videos already, but you want to know a little bit more about my career, about my business, about how did I get where I am today, and what are the experiences that I bring to the table with yogabizmentor.com. If you're ready, let's dive in. I feel that I've been attracted to the yoga, spiritual, wellness, and mystical world since a very young age. But it was in 2007 when I decided that I wanted to become a yoga teacher. And by that time, I have been already practicing yoga more or less consistently, although consistently, I would call it back then like maybe once a week or even sometimes less consistently. But over those years, I've been developing a little bit of a yoga practice and I really resonated and I already was reaping the benefits from the yoga and I knew that it was helping me feeling better about myself. And that was for me a motivator to say, I want to become a yoga teacher. Now, in 2007, I traveled to Italy. If you know me, you know that I'm from Spain. I'm originally from Spain. But in 2007, I traveled to Italy. And when I reached Italy, my goal was like, okay, now that I've been thinking about becoming a yoga teacher for quite some time, it's been 3 years that I wanted to bring this dream into reality. 2007 was the year that I decided that I wanted to become a yoga teacher. And I signed up for an Ashtanga yoga teacher training in Bologna, Italy. Now, at the time, I did not have any idea of what Ashtanga yoga was, but I wanted to become a yoga teacher. So the most interesting yoga teacher training that I found back at the time was in Bologna, and I was living down in the south. I was living in a city called Lecce. So this was like a 3 years teacher training, and we would go once a month. We would take the train from southern Italy, go to Bologna, spend the weekend there, and then the rest of the months we would be practicing and integrating. I'm talking in plural because it was me, but there were also some other people from southern Italy that they were taking the same training. Needless to say, we were sharing the train up and down and we became super close friends. Now, one of the persons who was taking that teacher training, her name is Francesca, and she is the owner and CEO of Yoga in Salento, or Agricola Samari, which is a yoga retreat in southern Italy. It's one of the first yoga retreats in southern Italy. And myself and Francesca met during that teacher training. Actually, I got to contact her in 2007 when I was looking for yoga teacher trainings. I found her small retreat. Back at the time was like a kind of a small business, family business. And she actually told me that she was also looking into that yoga teacher training. So eventually we meet and we got together to do the yoga teacher training and we became friends. And that next summer, 2008, Francesca told me that she was in need of someone to work at her yoga retreat. And of course, for me, this was like a kind of a, oh my gosh, this is a great opportunity. Not only will allow me to become a yoga teacher and to get surrounded by people who are into the yoga teaching world, but also it will allow me to get this perspective of a yoga retreat. By that time, I have been working, doing many different jobs, but working in the hotel industry is something that I already have done in different areas, but this was very specific to a retreat within the hotel industry. And so I thought it was very interesting. Needless to say, I took that job opportunity. I started my career there went from being a gardener the first year to get more involved with the kitchen to become basically the chef at Agricola Samari. And of course, during all of these years, I was also able to practice with some of the most amazing Ashtanga yoga teachers who would come to teach the retreat. I would also have the opportunity to teach some classes, allow me the opportunity to learn my teaching practice, but also it gave me the opportunity to see the ins and outs and the nitty-gritty of the retreat world. So I did that job for a few years. It was a seasonal job. During the winter, those years, I started my first venture also in Italy. And when I always talk about my entrepreneur journey, I don't know why I always think about Bangkok in 2018, but actually in 2010, when I came back from my first trip to Mysore, I opened a small yoga shala at my own home in southern Italy. And the story goes that, after a few years working at that yoga retreat with my friend Francesca, that yoga retreat in southern Italy, where the most amazing Ashtanga yoga teachers came, of course, I got to hear a lot about Mysore and the school for Ashtanga yoga. During that time, there was also a period that I was doing the winters in Ireland because I have been previously living there and I have some contacts. Because during the winter, south of Italy became a little bit too dead. It was easy for me to travel to Ireland and work there during the winter and then come back during the summer and work at the retreat. But during those years that I was between Italy and Ireland and I got to practice with the most amazing Ashtanga yoga teachers, I get to connect with the Ashtanga yoga community. Everybody was talking about Mysore and how Mysore is like a place that you should go if you are practicing Ashtanga yoga. And of course, in 2010, I booked my trip to Mysore. I spent there a couple of months practicing with Sarasvati, which is Pattabhi Joy's daughter. And it was amazing. Now, by the time I finished my trip to Mysore, that was November 2010, I came back to Italy and I didn't have any teaching certification. The reason being is because the first teacher training that I signed up for in Italy, remember that teacher training where we would go to Bologna, I ended up dropping that teacher training, not because it wasn't good, because it was an amazing yoga teacher training, but it lasted for 3 years and it didn't work for my own lifestyle because I was traveling from Italy to Ireland. So in the end, I dropped that teacher training. I did the first year. It was amazing for me. Even though I dropped the teacher training, it was a great opportunity because it opened up the doors for me to the Ashtanga yoga world. And then after that teacher training, I got to work in the yoga retreat. I got to practice with some of the amazing yoga teachers, Ashtanga yoga teachers that I met in Ireland. I got to make a lot of connections. In 2010, I go to Mysore. I spent a couple of months there practicing. I come back to Italy and I feel ready to teach. I feel ready to officially become that yoga teacher. Did I have a certification by Yoga Alliance? No, I didn't have any kind of certification because I didn't finish my first teacher training and because when I went to Mysore, I went there for 2 months. And of course, if you know the Ashtanga yoga system, there is not an established period of time. Like you need to go there a certain number of times and in the end, it's the teacher who decides when you're going to get the certification. But I'm going to tell you that by that time, I already had a lot of practice experience. Remember, I started my teacher training in 2007 and since then I developed my self-practice. This was 3 years of having my own Mysore practice, 3 years of practicing with some of the most amazing Ashtanga yoga teachers, and also 3 years of teaching some classes in the yoga retreat that I was working, and some collaborations that I was doing with some studios in Ireland. So by 2010, when I came back from India, I felt like, gosh, I'm ready. And I did start my first entrepreneurial venture, and that was a little small tiny yoga shala at home in a little village in southern Italy near Lecce. And that was one of the first joys of teaching yoga. Of course, I'm not gonna lie, there was also a huge learning curve during this period, especially because I thought that, Ashtanga yoga, the system that I've learned, was going to work for everyone. But one of my first students actually was a lady that never practiced yoga before and that never done any exercise before. And what happened is, like, when I started teaching the first sun salutation to her, I realized that I needed to modify the whole practice for her and to make it more accessible. So there was a lot of learning. I'm happy to say that first person, that first client that I have coming to my private sessions in southern Italy, up to this day, by the time I'm recording this video, she is still practicing Ashtanga yoga, and she has become like such a devoted practitioner, and I'm so happy every time I see her sharing her practice on the social media. So I did have this little studio. I was already having my group of clients, private clients, and also group classes, people from that community that they would come and learn from me. But unfortunately, in 2012, for personal reasons, I had to close that studio. And I'm not going to share all of the details here because I feel this is something very personal from my own life. But all that I'm going to say is that when I had to close that studio, when I had to close that little shala, it really broke my heart. And I made it a point to find teachers for the practitioners that I had with me. And I managed to find other teachers in the area where my clients, where my students could continue practicing yoga. We are talking about 2012. So back at the time, online yoga was not a thing. Otherwise, of course, I would have offered my clients, my students, the opportunity to keep practicing online. But back then, I was not aware that this was something that you could do. So my next step after I closed this little shala and I moved back to my country in Spain was to look for another job opportunity in some other yoga retreat. And I did find this job opportunity in Canary Islands, in an island called Fuerteventura. And this place is called Azulfit. And at Azulfit, it was a small family retreat back at the time. It was like really nice, again, to be in the inside and seeing the nitty-gritty, what's happening when guests arrive, what is the experience they are going through. I was also involved with the teaching some classes. And again, back at the time, I was also very interested into food and nutrition. So I was also involved with the cooking. This was one of my roles working in that retreat, was to be involved in the kitchen and the cooking, because this was one of my main passions and interests at the time. And remember, when I was working also in the retreat in Italy, this is one of the roles that I was taking. I was the chef. So when I worked in Fuerteventura, I also took that role, but I also had more opportunities for teaching classes in person and teach a lot of Ashtanga yoga classes. I would teach some of the classes for the guests that we have and they come to the retreat, but also I organize my own classes. On Saturday morning, I would organize a class that was a seva. It was a donation karma yoga class in which I would teach the people who would come to my retreat in exchange of a donation. And that donation, 100%, was for a project a good friend of mine from Madrid was having in India. My friend from Madrid was supporting NGOs in India, and they were in need of financial support. So all of the classes that I was doing on Saturday, all of the funds that we get, that would go for my friend's project. This project was called El Océano Blanco, and it was amazing. She was sharing images of what she was doing. She was basically going to hospitals and supporting those hospitals who needed some help and support. And so that was for me also an opportunity to teach. Another thing that I was doing while I was working in Fuerteventura, in my free time, I started to organize Ashtanga yoga classes for local people. And we did build a community of local people who would come to my Ashtanga yoga classes. Very quickly, we got to, especially with the word of mouth marketing, we get to have a group of people that they were coming every week to take these Ashtanga yoga classes that I was teaching. So that was like really, really inspiring. The next thing that happened is that in 2014, I came to Thailand for the first time to finally do my official Yoga Alliance yoga teacher training, finally 2014. By this time, I've been teaching a lot already, okay? But I felt like, okay, Manu, you need to get a kind of certification. I wanted to get like a teaching experience where I would learn about Ashtanga, but also other modalities of yoga like breath work, meditation, and so on. And this is the reason why I chose Samahita Retreat in the south of Thailand. So 2014, I come to Thailand for the first time. I come to do my teacher training. And let me tell you, that was a transformative experience, of course. And I also fell in love. We are talking about 2014. I also fell in love with the country, with Thailand. I felt it was like oh my God, it felt like home. I fell in love with the retreat center, Samahita Retreat, where I took my teacher training and spent 1 month there. And of course, during the time I was there, I asked the owner, how do I do to work here? I want to have a job here. I want to be involved with the teaching. I want to get teaching experience, more teaching experience. I want again to see the ins and outs of the retreats. How do I do to work here? I also gonna say, this is very personal, but I also fell in love with my spouse who is Thai. And so all of those were reasons during 2014 when I came back to Spain to think like, oh my gosh, I want to go back to Thailand. I want to work in that Samahita Retreat. I want to keep teaching. I want to see the world of retreat from the inside out. And I want to be close to my partner, my boyfriend at the time, right? So all of those were reasons for me to come back to Thailand. In 2015, my friend, I took the leap of faith. I was like, okay, this is gonna be it. 2015, I left Spain and I moved to Thailand. This was one of the most amazing opportunities that I've done before. And if this is something that you're dreaming of, if you are thinking about traveling the world, teaching yoga, collaborating with some yoga retreats, I'm gonna leave a link in this video so that you can watch another video that I recently recorded about how to travel the world teaching yoga. What are the things you need to consider and so on. And I share a lot of insights about my own experience. But I'm gonna leave you the link in the show notes so that you can watch that video afterwards. But for me, the experience at Samahita Retreat was amazing because again, it allowed me to see the nitty-gritty of retreats. I became one of the people who were most involved with the retreats there. I was the retreat coordinator and I was talking with the retreat leaders who would come and run the retreats. I was the go-to person there, so that was an incredible experience. I was teaching, needless to say, I was teaching yoga and eventually fitness on a day-to-day basis. I was gaining a lot of experience. I was also part of the community management. I was sharing, I was helping with social media. I was supporting with social media. I would say this is also one of my first experience with digital marketing. I was the person that was taking the social media of Samahita Retreat back at the time before becoming the retreat coordinator. So that was an amazing experience for me. It really helped me grow as a teacher. Needless to say, I took so many hours of continuing education, yoga teacher trainings. Oh my gosh, I studied a lot. I learned a lot about yoga, about pranayama, about meditation, about those practices. And then I was teaching day to day. So that was like an amazing teaching practice experience. Now, the next thing that happened is that in 2016, I ran my first retreat at Samahita, and this was a blast. It was a retreat called Nutrition, Food, and Yoga for Life, and I ran that with my dearest friend Tracy McDonald. Tracy, if you're watching this video, hello. And this was a successful retreat. It was the first retreat. It was super successful. We had 12 or 13 signups. I think we have 12 signups, and it was a blast. And for me, it felt like the confirmation that running retreats, doing retreats, this is something that I've been dreaming of for many years. This was a confirmation that yes, I can do this, and this is what I want to do. So after 8 years in the retreat industry, running my first retreat, being like super successful, and that for me was the confirmation that I needed. The next thing that I did in 2018, I finished my work at Samahita Retreat. I love the place, but I was feeling that I needed to do I needed to grow in a different direction. So we are talking now 2018. I have already done some trainings on fitness and movement, who was something I felt really passionate about at the time, and I was incorporating that into my own practice. And I took another work opportunity in another place called Kamalaya in Koh Samui, and this is a luxury wellness sanctuary. And in there, I was able to practice my fitness personal trainer teaching on a day-to-day basis. Again, another great opportunity, really nice job. Again, being involved with the retreat, wellness, hotel industry, that was really helpful. But I'm gonna tell you, that year I felt ready. I felt like, oh my gosh, this is the time to start my own venture. I thought it was good opportunity. I thought it was professional good opportunity to work for all of these hotels and resorts. But I also felt that it was my time to become an independent yoga and movement facilitator. And I did it. I started this journey by the end of 2018. I left the job at Koh Samui. I moved to Bangkok, the capital of Thailand, and I opened my own Thai company. Now, this was a long process, and this is something that I'm not going to share all of the details here, but this is something that it wasn't easy for me as a foreigner to open a company and to operate as a business. But I managed to do it. I managed to open my own company here. I was running my own international retreats. I was having my own one-on-one private clients, and I was collaborating with some studios around the city and around Southeast Asia, teaching yoga, fitness, movement, and so on. I'm not going to tell you that this period was easy. In fact, this is the period where I encounter what I always refer as like a kind of my dark night of the soul in business, especially end of 2018, beginning of 2019. I felt that even though I have been working and promoting the retreats, working with social media, and I already knew the nitty-gritties of a business because all of the years that I've been working in these retreat businesses and in all of these wellness businesses, working for myself was a completely different story. Promoting myself as an independent practitioner, as an independent business, that was another level, my friend. And I'm not going to tell you like all of the layers and layers of things that I needed to learn, like for example, marketing, business, pricing my offerings, setting all of the foundations of my business. This was something that it took me time. This was also the time where I got captured by the ideas of building a business in less than 1 year, like a 6-figure business. And that was painful. But eventually I got to invest with the right mentors, with the right people, and that helped me grow my business. Again, I'm not going to say that this period was perfect, but hey, by that time, by end of 2019, beginning of 2020, I was already running my own international retreats. My business was picking up. I had already a bunch of private clients that I would go and teach them on a one-on-one sessions. And I was some businesses that I was doing partnerships and collaborations. And it felt so empowering. It felt that things were picking up, and I have already been applying what I have been learning from my mentors, from the coaches that I was studying. I was applying that to my business, and I was starting to see all of those results. But what happened, the next thing that happened, of course, we are approaching 2020, as you can imagine, with all of the restrictions due to COVID-19 regulations and so on. I had to cancel all of my retreats. I have to cancel all of my retreats. I have to cancel all of my in-person one-on-one sessions. And by that time, believe it or not, I already had some online parts of my business. I already had some online clients, people who were coming to my retreats during the previous years, and they wanted to continue practicing with me one-on-one. I was doing Zoom sessions before 2020. That was like something like not really many people were doing that, but that was something that I was doing back at the time. However, when I have to close my business, when I have to close my retreats, cancel my in-person, doing the online part wasn't enough for me, and it didn't make sense for me to cover all of the expenses that I had for my Thai company. So eventually I decided to start a new chapter, to close that chapter. Of course, it was painful. It was hard to close my company, to cancel all of my retreats. But it was 2020. Like, I wasn't the only one. Many businesses have to close. Many businesses lost everything. So I was one of them. I was one of the companies who have to close. So what I did back at the time in 2020, I transitioned all of my business online. And because I saw there was a need for especially yoga teachers to learn about how to teach online, I pivoted my business. I transitioned everything online, and I started teaching yoga teachers how to bring their classes and their businesses online. And maybe you know me from that period. I was sharing tips, I was sharing content about this with my brand that back at the time was called Emprendedores del Yoga, which means yoga entrepreneurs in Spanish. And I was sharing for Spanish communities, Spanish speaking people and English speaking people. And I was doing that from 2020 until 2022. I was helping people, first bringing their business online, second start to market themselves. How did they market themselves? I started to apply all of the lessons that I previously learned on how to market my own services, my own business, my own retreats, and I help other people, other yoga and wellness facilitators, and even small studios to do so. In 2022, I found a client who was a big hotel. It's Six Senses Ibiza. They were looking for a person to take care of their retreats. And I came to Six Senses Ibiza, and I stayed for about 3 months as a consultant there. So basically my job was to establish all of the foundations for that hotel to become a place where to run retreats. And of course, I'm not going to get a lot into details, but some of the duties that I have in that job were managing the annual calendar, looking at the profits, looking at the finances of the revenue and the money the retreat was bringing, looking at the strategies to connect with the retreat leaders, to grow the retreat department. And all that I can say that it's in 1 year, we got to run a lot of retreats, and we got to have some amazing, really successful retreats with some top people and practitioners out there. It was like a really amazing growth experience for myself. And although I must say that sometimes it was also a little bit stressful because there was a little bit too much going on, but the work that I did there was helpful, and that people who came to that retreat at the time, most of them have an amazing experience. By the end of 2023, I finished that project. My job was done there, so I finished that project. In 2024, I came back again to be an independent practitioner, an independent mentor, helping and supporting yoga wellness facilitators with business and marketing, and also retreat leaders and aspiring retreat leaders with retreat organization, creation, management, and so on. And this is what I do today. Of course, I'm also planning my own retreats, and it's not a retreat, but it's a bootcamp that is coming in April 2025 here in Thailand in Samahita Retreat. And today I also work supporting other people, other practitioners. So if you need some support, you know where to find me. I'm gonna leave links in the description of this video for you to see what it implies to work with me and to understand if I am the person that I can help you in this, support you in this journey. So I hope this video was inspiring for you today. Let me know in the comments. I always love hearing from you. And that's all that I want to share with you today. So thank you so much for watching or for listening if you have done that until the end. And I'm glad that you're here. Take care, my friend. Hello, my friend. Sawadee krap from the land of smiles. This is one of my favorite countries in the world. It's like my second home. This is Thailand. And I would like to take this opportunity to invite you to spend some time together with me in my upcoming business bootcamp in Koh Samui, in an island, beautiful tropical island in the south of Thailand, in a wonderful place which is my spiritual cove called Samahita Retreat. This business bootcamp will happen in April 2025. So if you are watching this video before 2025, you still in time to sign up. We're gonna be talking about how to build and how to grow a heart-centered business, and we're gonna do this together with a community of heart-centered entrepreneurs in a wonderful place. Honestly, Samahita Koh Samui, it's a place close to my heart, and I can tell you it's one of the most transformative and beautiful places in the world. So if you have been gaining some value from my content and you would like to have an in-person, unforgettable experience with me and a group of like-minded people, check out the links in the description of this video. Check out for Zenpreneur Biz Bootcamp, or just DM me in some of my social media and I will connect with you and give you the link for signing up. This is going to be epic. You don't want to miss it. And I really hope to see you there. Okay, my friend, that's all for today. Khop kun krap.